I've had several clients over the past couple of years that have increased their engagement just by implementing these few simple strategies. Okay, so let's dive in.
Welcome to the Simplified Social Marketing Podcast. I'm Chelsea Gardner, and if you're ready to make marketing clear, manageable, and fun with practical steps and effective tools, you are in the right place, my friend. Together, we'll untangle the complexities of marketing your business and transform them into clear, actionable steps. Let's dive in.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am actually super excited for today's episode. I am just dying to talk about some of my super quick tips that you can use to boost your social media engagement. So I'm going to go over five quick tips that you can use to boost your social media engagement. As we all know, engagement is truly the key to growing our audience and really building that strong online presence, right? So I want to talk about some things that maybe we can incorporate into our everyday social media with certain elements, call to actions, all those types of things. And I want to tell you what mine are. I like the quick tips because we don't have a ton of time to dig in and be on social media. We're busy entrepreneurs, we're busy business people, and we just don't have the time, right? Like, we don't have the time to get in there and engage all day long. We are not full-time content creators, and we got to do the things though, right? So here's why engagement actually really does matter. So engagement and really high engagement sends these signals to the algorithms, right? We just love our algorithms. And it sends these signals, per se, to those algorithms that your content is valuable, right? So the more engagement that we get with our content, the more valuable it becomes to the Instagram platform or the Facebook platform. And so then it tends to increase our reach a little bit, right? If there's more engagement, the algorithm's like, "Ooh, I should show this because it's getting good engagement and people want to see it. It must be good." So you kind of got to play with that a little bit. And when you have engaged followers, they are more likely to become loyal customers and or advocates for you, right? So you've got some engaged followers, whether it's 100 or 100,000, you want engaged followers. If you have 100,000 followers and you only ever get like 5 likes, there's something wrong. So, post with high engagement rates are more likely to be featured on explore pages that you can see in like Facebook or that you can see in Instagram and TikTok. That helps you gain visibility is by being shown on that explore page to people who do not currently follow you. And, I've had several clients over the past couple of years that have increased their engagement just by implementing these few simple strategies. Okay, so let's dive in. Tip number 1, and this is the most easiest one in my opinion, and it's one of my favorites. Using poll features, questions, the stickers on your stories, right? So when you're creating Instagram stories, you need to be using polls, questions, those interactive elements that we can put in our stories. So, if you've ever been scrolling through stories or watching people, not scrolling through stories, but watching people's stories and you see a poll that is like, do you love Chick-fil-A? Yes or no? Or would you rather live on the beach or the ocean? The Q&As, right? Ask me anything. And then there's a box where you can input a question. Those are the interactive elements given to us by Instagram to use, and it helps boost engagement on our overall platform. So we absolutely should be using polls to get feedback, maybe on new loan programs or ideas that we have or things that we're sharing about. If we are doing video content, for example, sharing that video content over to our stories and then adding a poll feature or a question feature, right? So if we're doing a story on I don't know, maybe a first-time homebuyer grant, and then a question sticker on that. So we're sharing that to our stories, and then a question sticker that says, do you have more questions? Drop them below. Ask those questions to learn more about our audience, and honestly, if they're even paying attention. A little side note, hack per se is, okay, so let's say you're putting these questions on your stories, right? And you're like, Chelsea, I get no questions. Ask them. You can go back into your own story, go into the question. So if you're like, hey, what questions do you have on the new Hometown Heroes program? And you get crickets, right? Because maybe you don't have engaged followers yet, or maybe they just don't even know what to ask. Go in and ask the questions yourself. It doesn't show on your end that you asked the question. So you could easily come in and like start asking questions. What do you need to qualify? How can I reach out to you to qualify? Share those questions from the question box back into your stories and respond to them. Okay, that's a little hack. It's super easy and I highly encourage it. And then stickers you can use to add fun elements to your stories. There's ones that you could like easily click on to like love something or like something or slide the bar. Use those engagement things. Okay, that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, always using a call to action. Use a call to action, ask for the engagement on your post, right? So CTAs help drive engagement. CTAs tell the user on the other end who is reading your post or interacting with your post what you want them to do. It guides them on their next action. You would be surprised at the amount of people who don't interact because they're not told to, right? They look at it, oh, that's a cool post. They're not told to like it. They're not told to follow. They're not told to comment below. They just keep going. You need to tell your audience what exactly you want them to do next. You want to make sure it's clear, it's compelling, it encourages action. So comment below, share if you agree. Click the link, if you're on Facebook, click the link in my comment section. Share your thoughts in the comments. Make sure, comment the word mortgage if you want more information. Whatever engagement tactic, use it. It doesn't always have to be selling either, right? So if you're sharing a fun meme or a post about, home renovation loans, then in the question or the call to action can be, what was the last renovation you did for your house? There is no selling, but it's encouraging engagement in your comment section. Don't think that just because you're doing these quick tips once or twice that, oh, Chelsea, I got no engagement. This is a consistent piece of your marketing strategy for social media that you need to constantly be grooming your audience to understand that you're going to be asking for CTAs, you're asking for engagement, you're putting out engagement on your stories, right? That's consistency. That's part of the consistency factor. Okay. Tip number 3. This should be well known, but create compelling content, guys. Content that resonates with your audience will more likely get shared, commented on, liked, things like that. You have to know who your audience is first and foremost before you can create compelling content for your audience. If you don't know who your audience is, you can't create content that resonates with them. So make sure that you understand their preferences. You can go back to tip number 1, use polls to get feedback, right? How'd you find me? Would you like to learn more about USDA loans? Do you live in the country? Are you a veteran, right? Learn your audience and then also know who you want to be in front of. So if you're looking at your insights and your audience are the ages of 20 to 24, and you want to be more in the reverse mortgage sector, we're a little far off, right? So you want to make sure that you are creating content that's compelling to the audience you are trying to drive into your social media. And then make sure that you're using storytelling, right? Make your post more relatable. I love when my clients give me stories, when they share with me what they've done for a client or how they've helped. That is very relatable for people. And that builds that community, it builds that trust, right? It also is like, oh, they actually have done this. They're not just sharing about it, right? So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4, you got to engage with your audience. Okay. So you have to engage. That helps build relationships, it encourages loyalty. If you are responding to your comments, responding to your messages, if you are following other, let's say you're a mortgage pro and you are following other real estate professionals, commenting on their content, engaging with their content is key, right? Because if you're engaging with their stuff, they may be more prone to pay attention to your content and engage with it when it comes into their feed the next time around. And again, making sure that you are sharing practical ways to engage. So again, asking those questions, going back to tip number 1. Another thing you can even do is host live Q&A sessions to interact in real time. On Instagram, you can go live. On Facebook, you can go live, and you can do live Q&A sessions that will help interact with that. Okay. And then make sure that when you do respond, just as a little side note, one of my pet peeves, make sure that it's thoughtful. It's a thought out comment or message, not just thanks or love it or whatever. Like try and think it out. Think it out. Yeah. Try and think it out. And if you can, when you respond back to something they wrote, try and continue that conversation with another question. So for example, if you made a post about home renovation loans and you asked them what was the last home reno you did, and someone commented in the post like, man, my kitchen, respond back. Don't be like, oh, nice. Respond back and be like, wow, that's a big undertaking. How did it go? Or what was the worst part? Or how did it end up? Send me a DM with a picture. I'd love to see it, right? Now you're getting them into your DMs. That's even better because now you can really carry on a conversation in your direct messages. Okay. Tip number 5, last and not least, analyze. Analyze your performance so you can adjust what is working and what is not working. So you need to understand your social media metrics. You need to understand what is working and what is not working. You can't just throw spaghetti on the wall and hope that it's sticking. It allows you to really refine your strategy based on actual data, right? So looking at your insights on the platform you're really trying to grow and engage on the most, and I say the most because you don't want to do this across a bazillion platforms because you're going to get burnt out. So if you are really trying to grow your Instagram, analyze your performance on Instagram. What is performing well? What are people engaging with the most? And go from there. Create more content like that. If you are finding that your USDA loan content is doing really, really well, create more content that's about USDA loans. If you are finding that your first-time homebuyer content is what you're trying to really push and it's performing awful, but you're really trying to bring in more first-time homebuyers, okay, well, we need a new strategy around first-time homebuyers, and what would that look like? So make sure you're looking into those analytics because they tell you a lot. I love, like one of my best, something I love about my job is digging into analytics because it's a mystery to me sometimes when you think, oh, this is going to be like the best engagement post I've ever done, and it flops, and you're like, why, right? Those analytics tell you a lot, and it's just really interesting to me. So let's recap. Tip number 1, use polls, questions, stickers, all of that in your stories. Tip 2, always use a CTA. Ask for that engagement. Tip 3, make sure we're creating compelling content. I'm trying to put the 2 words together. Tip number 4 is engage with your audience. And last but not least, make sure you're analyzing your results. So try out these tips. Let me know if they work for you. I'm super curious. Make sure to share your experience with me. You can find me over on any social media platform at the Chelsea Gardner. Shoot me a quick message. Let me know if it worked. I love to leave you with an actual action item to do before we pop off the podcast. So over the next week, what I really want you to focus on is tip number 1. I want you to create a story and I want you to add a poll or a question onto that story. I don't care what it's about. Add it in there. You can ask them if they prefer a beach or a mountain home. I don't care, but use it, get in there, and let me know. Come into my DMs. Let me know that you did it so I can go answer your question and engage with you. So I hope this was helpful and simple and easy to follow. That is my goal, really, to simplify social media for you. Again, please be sure to follow me on any social media platform at the Chelsea Gardner. And until next time, guys, have a wonderful day.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode of the Simplified Social Marketing Podcast. Make sure to follow me on any of your favorite social platforms at the Chelsea Gardner. And don't forget to hit subscribe for your weekly dose of marketing magic. Until next time, my friend, remember to keep your marketing simple and effective.